Well, welcome to our podcast, The Power to Live Your Vision. I am Dr. Jessie Bowen. I'm here with your favorite coach, Coach Nathan Ray. Hello, sir. How you
Hey,
doing?
greetings. Happy, radiant, free, shining bright like diamonds, getting after it. How are you, sir?
Hey, you know me. I'm just trying to make the world a better place. Happy birthday.
Yay! Thank you. Yeah, I'm here celebrating my birthday on the podcast with all the great supporters of the podcast and yourself, man. That's hey, can't have a better birthday than that.
Well, since you're going to take a month, hey, give us one day, so
That's
you're
right.
good.
This is the start of the month of Nathan. That's right.
Yeah. Like I said, I grew up as an only child. You're an only child.
Yeah,
Mine,
yeah.
mine, and
It's
mine.
all about us.
That's I don't know. I don't know if we should really say that out loud,
I
right?
shouldn't say that out loud.
Well, my wife would
Uh,
tell you, he doesn't need a group to play with. He can play well by himself. So that's great. But
yeah, no,
again,
yeah, I'm excited.
we really want to thank everyone who's been following us on our podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Elite Publications. Everyone has a story. You just need to get it out. We're on a mission to publish 100 authors in the next 8 months. So if you've been having a book project or you've been thinking about writing a book and, it's time to move that book forward, but you don't know what to do, give us a call. You can reach us at 919-618-8075. Go to our website, which is www.elitepublications.org, and discover how we are helping individuals change their lives by becoming published authors. So we have a great podcast today. And so today's podcast, this is about chaos to clarity, the power
Yes.
of creating an identity that organizes and elevates your life. Now,
Yep.
that goes in
Powerful.
with
Powerful.
that sort of goes in with procrastination also, because that's
Yeah.
the reason why a lot of people procrastinate is because of the chaos, and is not so that it's hard to figure out what you want to do. There's so many
Exactly.
moving parts and things going on with that. So I thought this was a really great
Good.
place for us to start today. So I'll, let you, kick it off. So have you
Sure,
ever
sure.
found yourself in that place of chaos?
Yeah, and it's when you hear chaos, I think a lot of people go to the negative right away. However, chaos doesn't have to necessarily be negative. I mean, you can be in a chaotic state with a lot of positive things happening all at once as well. So I think that's the first point to understand that chaos is a place where there's a lack of order, and you just said, I mean, you started off right away with it, which is when you got so much going on that you're almost paralyzed, or
Hmm.
you're confused, you're not sure exactly what to do next or where to even start for that matter. And so I think your initial point is right on point, which is understanding that you being paralyzed is it can be temporary as we want to make it, and that's what today's show is about. Today's show is about you know how do we get how do we break this down so we can get a little clarity, so that we can just take those initial first steps, and they can be extreme, they can be micro steps, but a step's a step, and as long as it's in the right direction, we get to win eventually. So yeah, so yes sir, to answer your question, absolutely. And that's why I'm so excited about today's subject. So let's get into it. That the idea of living in chaos. The challenge with that is we get used to it. So then it becomes, a regular day event. So we don't even realize we're actually in chaos. We just know we're not being productive, and we know that we're not hitting the outcomes that we want to get a lot of times. However, we've got to now, raise our level of awareness. Not got to, we get to raise our level of awareness to understand what's going on so we can make some movement. Yeah. So that's kind of where I guess a good starting point. What do you think, Hanshi?
Well, when we think of chaos, we think of, and as you said before, it doesn't necessarily mean something negative. It does have to do with an order or feeling overwhelmed. And, I get
Yeah,
that for a
yeah,
lot of times. And that's the reason why having a team of people around me is so important, because I'm that guy that thinks outside of the box, and I've got 50,000 things that's happening. I got a giant car over here and it's all ripped apart. My I've already designed the car. I need some people to help me put it together, because if I got to design it and then go put all the nuts and bolts into it, that's a job. And you
yeah,
get burned
yeah.
out, and that's going to
Right.
lead to procrastination. And that we wrote
Yeah.
a book on that, on procrastinate, which is titled "Don't Procrastinate on God: The Wealth Kingdom Mindset." But procrastination is really, and that's what it is. It's overwhelmed. So stop, look at yourself, look at your life. If you feel that there's disorder going on around in your life, then you have to stop and begin to organize. So the very first step is that you have to organize yourself. Everything always works. If you're trying to
Yeah.
move your life together, forward, whether it's in your business, whether it's in your personal life, you start with organizing what it is, what it looks like, and then begin to bring those key things together. So if there's something that you're not skillful at, then you find that person that may be skillful. You find a way to be able to do that. But the clarity, beginning with clarity, is what is that's what helps to create the right identity. So when we think about why many people are overwhelmed, and that's the problem, is that
Right.
it's just disorder. So sit
Yeah.
down and look at it, write your steps out, make a plan. And when you do that, you can tackle one thing at a time. But if you have so many things coming at you, then that's really difficult to do. In fact, one of the things I did this morning to help organize my day, because I have a lot of things like that going on, I actually wrote down in my calendar how much time I was going to spend on it before my
Right.
next project was, so that I didn't have a day consumed by doing something that needed to be done. But there were other more important things, because there are some things I enjoy doing, and then there are some things that's got to be done. And those things that's got to be done are sometimes they're tough. So understanding that the pressure of daily responsibility can, if you don't organize, can lead to chaos, and the lack of focus and direction. That's
Right.
the other part, that you spin your wheels. At the end of the day, you didn't get anything done. And then living without a definite purpose. So those are the things that go in that distract you. So those four things, if you will focus on those, you write them, all four of them today, but take one of them today, and then you take one the next day. So I'll repeat those for you. So feeling overwhelmed, recognize what's going on. How does it make you feel? The pressures of the daily responsibilities, and the lack of focus and direction, and living without a defined purpose. So, so those are some of the things I think is important that
Oh,
we
you
that
hit a
we
lot.
realize.
That's I mean, that's a whole seminar right there. And the thing is, we don't necessarily need a whole seminar. You know what I mean? I mean, we those seminars are great, and I'm an advocate for education, but sometimes I agree, it goes back to keeping things simple, keeping things just make it plain. Let's step back for 1 second though, Hachi, because I noticed that, of course, as within, without. So I noticed in my environment started to look haywire. Everything seemed to be haywire. My environment started reflecting that chaotic mindset. My car was in disorder. My office was in disorder. It's clean. I ain't dirty, but it was in disorder. Then I look around, my desk at home was in disorder. So there's that reflection that happens of our mindset in our space that we can visibly see, right? So with organization, what would be like a first step or two with the idea of organization? What would you say, just focusing in, zeroing in on that point?
Well, you see me smiling, right?
Yes, I do. I know
I'm
it's
going,
coming.
I'm going,
I
is he
know it's
looking in
coming.
my office? Where is Nathan?
No, I'm not looking in your office. I don't have my cameras there.
Well, that was a very good point, and I'm smiling because it really made me sort of look around at my desk and look around here. So when we get off the
I'm not going to
call,
show you my desk.
so when we get off today, I am going to be doing some cleanup because you're right, and the same thing that we're talking about. How's the organization? Because it's not, when you find chaos in your life, it's not one place. It's pretty much every place that you are. So again, start with something small and achievable.
Right,
And just
right.
like you were saying, start with your desk. It's a place that for me I frequent most, is my desk, and that's why it's so cluttered up here a little bit today, and things are out of place. But that is a good point, and I'm going to go and do that myself. As going, you're right. I come in, I jump on my desk, and I go to work, and and so what I'm going to do is clean my desk off and vacuum my money mat and because
I'm
I've
getting
got
on
papers and
Amazon. I'm gonna get me some money, some money curtains or some money something. I got a money chair. I don't know. I'm gonna find something too. I don't want to leave you alone in that. We gotta put the proper messages up. And it goes back to what you said a moment ago. I think that internal putting it together internally is what you were speaking of earlier, and then when we move to organize that desk, then that kind of falls in line. So I'm with you on that. And everyone who's watching the podcast, again, check us out on Roku TV as well as Spotify. Very thankful to Elite for sponsoring this program, because we're students too, and I think that's another key, is always setting ourselves up to understand that there are levels that we can continue to grow. We're not saying that because we're speaking about this, that we're not still putting these things in actions ourselves. And I think that's another important point. And then you also mentioned, because I take notes every time we have the podcast. I'm taking notes because, like Hanchi said, we get off the phone and we apply what we're sharing with everyone else. We don't just talk about it. We're being about it, as the old rap song goes. But I think the other thing goes back to one of your great books that you just published recently, The Journeyman, which is the journaling
Mhm.
guide. I remember we were speaking and you shared, hey, you got to get that stuff out. You have to have an outlet to express it. So with that internal organization, I think that's a great work that you've done, and I'm enjoying it. And it lays it out. It gives you a guideline. If you all journal, if you've never experienced journaling, a lot of the top people in terms of the meditation groups, I'm with a meditation group, and every morning we have a 15-minute journaling session. It is healing. It's therapy. And if you straighten up the desk, but if you still have internal disorder, you're not. It's not gonna be in alignment. So going back to what you were saying and guiding us through the Journeyman book, and Journeyman book also comes with a journal itself, right? You
Right.
added the journal in, so that makes it even better. So everyone should check that out. But just being able to get it out in some form or fashion out of you, whether you record it and you rant for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you just let it out. I think that's a great first step as well. What would you say about that?
Well, and as you said, getting it out, identifying and understanding that is something that happens to all of us. And I'm the type of guy, I try to research and figure some things out. And when we look at the word chaos, that word dates back to the early 1400s, and it was referred uh, uh, to of avoidance or later. So in the 1600s, it began to be recognized as disorder mess. So this
Oh,
is this has
okay.
been going on for centuries of chaos in someone's life.
Mm.
And the more you had of it, the less you do. So it's not a brand new word. It's understanding that it is going on in our lives, and what are the things that we can do. So just a few things that we've covered today's podcast can really help someone begin to take over, to identify what's going on in their life and how to reshape their habits. How to identify their creative focus, and that's the way you begin to work your way out. Is just one step at a time of really identifying what it is. Black belt mindset versus a beginner mindset. And so if you want to be great and you want to become a black belt in life, then you identify all these different words and what does it mean? Is this going on with me? And how do I move forward that I've conquered these things, and it's helping me to produce the mindset, the livelihood, the things I want to have in my life. So the power to live your vision. If you don't know what your vision actually is, then you have no power. So
Right.
our
Yeah.
podcast is really about that, and it's going to become a book. And we write a
Yeah.
book on everything. So
That's right. That's right.
the power to live the power to live your vision. So here's a
Powerful.
couple of things that you really want to do. And when it comes right back to vision,
Okay.
because without a vision you perish. So you want to
That doesn't
have
sound fun.
a, no, it doesn't, and it's not. You get to the end of the road and you look around and there's nothing there. I've been traveling a lot, especially in some of the rural areas, and I see all these homes that used to be beautiful homes, and the person that was there, they had a vision, but you see, when they passed away or moved away, then that house didn't get any love. So therefore, you see it falling down, falling apart. And we have to
That's
give
right.
ourselves love. And so when we're thinking about having a vision for our life, not for the beginning part of it, but all the way through to the ending part. So Nathan, you just had that birthday today. So, some
Yeah.
new goals set for
Woo.
that next year. And this is what we have to do, is become clear on our goals. And I use
Yeah.
that word purpose a lot, because until you define your purpose, you're like the ship without a rudder. You're sort of drifting from port to port, and you stay wherever feels comfortable, but that may
True.
not be the way you need to go, nor the place you need to be. So
Right.
finding your direction, even in the midst of chaos.
Yeah. I mean, that's great. That's really good. And I love the simplification of it. Just do one thing and do it today, and start that process so that we can experience our real purpose and be purpose driven. You know,
Right.
I think if you sit around and you just wait for the awareness of what your purpose is, it's going to be difficult for you to find it. I know in your motion you discover your purpose, but that you need to be in motion. You need to be moving and thinking. I think that's another thing, because mental activity doesn't equal thinking. A lot of people have
Right.
mental activity, but they're not thinking. So, Yeah, so that's great. Those are great points for sure. And I love what you went to when you came to the point about energy and love. Because if you read the that bestseller that is that's in the world today, it the essence of it was love, and that's a powerful thing. It's not a some kind of a soft thing that some people might try to equate with it. Love is very powerful. That's a very powerful energy, and it's I know in the morning time, part of my ritual, part of my morning routine is I love on me. I look at me, I smile, and I talk to myself. I give myself a little kiss, say, "You're gonna be great. It's gonna be a great day." You got to, if you don't love yourself, if you don't work on loving yourself, you're not setting yourself up to be loved by anyone else or to even give love. And so, so I think those are great points, Hanshi. Very nice.
And that's what we have to realize too, because you see, love is not about ego. If you don't love yourself, that's a problem, and you don't take care of yourself. So love is very important. And and again, in chaos is having that vision. That's why we do a vision board. We do goal setting, and we have faith. And faith is so much spiritual faith. I'm a minister, so does that belief that God shows me my purpose. It's like we're on this program today. This is about my purpose. I call it my talk out loud time. And
Right.
through that, if I can impact someone's life for them to think about where they are, because you won't make any changes until you realize that the place you're living in and you decide, I don't want to live in this place. No matter whatever
Right.
you're doing, if you're not getting love from it, then therefore when you know it's time to move. When love doesn't live there, and sometimes people just have to get to that place and they do things all their lives that's harming to their body, to their minds, to their relationships. But until they realize and they want that change, then it's really something difficult to do. And they're always going to have chaos in their lives. So remember, if you haven't done a vision board, do a vision board, add that into your toolbox. Make sure you're sitting down, you're making the goal list, then pray over that list or meditate on it, because meditation will help you go on the inside and find the clarity that you really need to have to be able to find what your success is. But you have to
What does that
identify that.
What does that look like for the viewers who say, I've, what is that? There's a saying, familiarity breeds contempt. You have all these people that say these buzzwords, vision board, have goals, and we hear this, but in layman's term, what is the guidance on actually putting together a vision board? I know for me, it looks like you said, first you got to get clear on your goals, how you want to live your life, what you want your life to look like. And then how does the tool of the vision board, once let's say we've taken that step, what does a person need to do? Do they need to get magazines? Do they need to like just the simple like doing it part? What would that look like? Because I think sometimes the viewers have a concept in their mind that we say it because we're familiar with it, but just like a bottom line, hey, you could do 1, 2, 3 to create a vision board. What would that look like?
Well, I'll give you the simplest term to move forward in the beginning. We all have a vision of what's around us. So we're talking about moving to a level of expectation by bringing things into our lives. And the vision board gives us an opportunity to hold on to that vision, that
Okay.
thing that we have. So that's the reason you have these pictures up. And your pictures up are things that you see every time. I come in my office, my vision board, which is a whiteboard with everything written on it and pictures there. What is it you want? So instead of the things that you don't want, put those pictures up of the things you want. Maybe you want that home. Okay, find that picture. Don't just say and put a home up. Go find you a nice picture of a nice home with the floor mat, with the floor plan, and you walk through it. You go to visit. I mean, you have to become a part of your goals. You have to become an active part. If it's the car, then you want to go test drive the car. You want to take and now
You
visualize
mean
that car.
literally go to a dealership?
Yeah, yeah, why
Okay.
not?
All
That
right. Yeah.
you want the feeling. You want to get that brochure. Do you want it red? Do you want it black, blue? You want to be an active part of creating that goal. If you said, well, I want a new home, how much? Okay, what how do you classify a new home? It could be anything. Well, I want a home that's, $200,000 or $1 million or five. It doesn't matter. You define what it is, then you can define the steps or how you're going to get there. And that
Right.
will motivate the other things that you're doing once you can define what's going to be the cost. And if you
Yeah.
don't understand the cost of what you want, you never get it because
Right.
you never pay the price for it. So having your vision board, it can be poster board, finding those pictures, write your affirmation. So write an affirmation there. I am. Write your I am affirmations. I am going to receive this money, this $100,000 or whatever you need to have or you want to be. You don't have to know how. You really have to set the goal and just walk in
That's
faith
key.
and
That's
doing
key.
something every day. Continue to educate yourself about what it is you want. If you want a new home, then you need to educate yourself about saving money. How am I going to get my credit in place if I don't have the cash money? What are my steps? What is it that I need to do? I want better health. Then what does that mean? Well, then I need to, if I have high blood pressure, I need to be on medication. I need to start eating right. I need to start exercising, so when I'm not afraid to go to see my doctor, for him to say, you didn't do what I told you to do. I know you did. But
Well,
again, that's what you really want to do. So when you set up your vision board, in my martial arts class, I taught every year. I would especially my black belts and my leadership team, we would actually do a vision board, and that vision board was getting them to think about what they're going to achieve, in their lives, in their martial arts, or in their schoolwork. Where are you going to, when you graduate? Where are you going to college? Or, I'm trying to help plant those seeds for them to think about.
powerful.
Right,
Yeah.
for them to be able to think about it, because you're not too old nor are you too young to learn about the power of goal setting. So visualization is that visualize those goals, see yourself, be
How
an active part.
how now, okay, so I'm being kind of I'll say the angel's advocate. I won't call myself a devil's advocate. Um so in the visualization sounds good. Just two quick points. I know we're man, time always flies when we're together. Um, how often what should a daily practice of visualization look like? What are the best times? These are some common questions. How often, like in this process, would you recommend?
Well, when we think about visualization, you can be looking at, which is visualization is to see with your eyes or see with your mind eyes. Thinking is a part of the visualization too. So we do that all the time. Remember, you have,
True, true.
60,000 thoughts that go through a day. The question is, what are you thinking about? So when I'm thinking
And we
about
get what
something,
we're thinking about, right?
right, exactly right. That brochure could be on your desk, or that it can be on your desk. But the question is, what are you meditating on? Now, that's something a little bit different, because in meditation is about having a deep mind of thought. This is where I'm closing my eyes and I'm using my mind's eye to see it and emotionalize what's going on in my life. So I can emotionalize receiving that when which I'm meditating on. It can be a great, you want a great relationship. What is that about? You want to be in a relationship with someone. Are they tall? Are they short? Then, you picture that person. You begin to become aware of the relationship you want to have. If you want a better relationship, what does that look like? What will it take to have a better relationship? So you begin to do that. So the best time to begin your meditation or your internal visualization is in the mornings when you first get up. Another good time is right before you go to bed at night.
Yeah.
And then at lunchtime. So meditating 2 to 3 times a day on what it is that you want, because you now become that giant magnet that begins to attract those things into your life. So again, meditation allows you to close your eyes and erase all thoughts from your mind and bring into your mind the image you want to hold. I may be test driving this car in my mind. I may step outside the car and jump into another car and see how I look driving down the highway in this car.
And that's a key right there. Yeah. Because you should see yourself in it. Don't just see the car. Because then your friend Johnny might pull up in the car that you were visualizing for. You need to see yourself in these things, actually in the house, living in the house, walking through, enjoying the house as part of your visualization. I guess my last point, I know time is on us, and we haven't left our subject, by the way, for the audience. We haven't left our subject from chaos to clarity. But these are just some just action things that I know for myself as I've been growing and understanding these things. A lot of times my question would be, that sounds awesome, but how do I integrate it in my life? So now on this last point, you go to the car dealership, you get in the car, you're smelling the car, you might test drive the car, but what do you do? And you alluded to it earlier when number one, when you said, don't be concerned about the how, just hold the vision. But what do you do when we know this one pops up? Doubt. When doubt shows up on the scene and you're driving that car and you start going, this is great, but, and I'm not even going to say it out loud. What do you do with that in terms of everything we're talking about right now?
Well, you add some things to your purpose list. It's good you don't get everything you wish for. So, it's good you don't get everything you ask for. And so that's why you have to have that spiritual faith that in all times, in all things, in that. So if you really desire it, I know for myself, back here I went and bought a car back here, I guess about 6 months ago. But you see, the thing of it is, I looked at this car every day. I went through it. It was online, and I viewed it every day. And I just, it got to the point, it was a part of me. And then I made the call and to see was it still there, because I live in North Carolina and this car wound up being in Washington, D.C. But you see, I was so involved that I would pay the price to drive to Washington, D.C. from North Carolina, about a 5-hour drive, to to look at this car, because I wanted it that badly. And I called my wife and I told her the day I was going to get it, I'm thinking about getting a Corvette. And she goes, okay, if that's what you want. But see, in your environment, you have to have people that will go along with you. I can want something, but if I'm in a relationship such as marriage, then it's a choice that I just don't make that choice. There are other people that I have to consider. So we're not really saying, of you to go out and make a decision if you're in a relationship, then you have to have the opinion of someone else so you can be in harmony. So
Right.
that's
That's a
what
key
you want.
point right there. That's good. We don't want to get anyone in trouble.
Right. So we talk about the
Yeah.
things that we want, but we have partners in our relationships, even in our business, then we have to negotiate some of these things. Because like I said, if I went out and showed up and I'd come home and, hey baby, look, I just bought me a Corvette. And she would be going, I hope, your 72 hours is not up, So, but that's what I'm
Right.
saying is that you're in a relationship that you're moving each other forward. And so,
Balance. Yeah.
and that person, if you have a good partner and you're equally connected, they will see that you're in chaos and they can help you recognize and give you some support in doing that, and not just watching you crash and burn. That's the reason why the more information that you have about yourself, what's going on in your life, you can help yourself, and then you can learn to help others. And that's what this podcast is about. It's about the power to live your vision. Coach Nathan and I both have had a lot of success, and
a lot of blessings.
we're just giving you information. If you have a question, then reach out to me or to Coach Nathan. You can contact us by emailing info@Elite Publications, and we'll be more than happy to answer any questions. You need to set up a 20-30 minute conversation. We're more than happy to do that. And, because this is our give back times. And that's why we started this, in Christmas, we were hanging out together and says, we need to just give back because, when you're blessed and you want to give that blessing back so others people can be, they can receive the blessing too. So this is what our podcast is about.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's great. Wow. Today, I just recommend you go back to the viewers, go back again, check us out on Roku and Spotify, and constant space repetition is a key. So you've heard this now, you're in the moment. However, use it as a study guide, use it as a study tool. Go back and listen to it. If you listen to it and consume it over and over each time, you'll get something more deeper and even more progress, I should say, by listening to it over and over, because you'll be able to identify with certain things and you'll be able to start creating your next move. And that's the biggest thing, is move. Whatever you do something. If you want something different, you can't keep doing the old things over and over. It's not going to work. So thank you, sir, for a great show. I've got lots of notes here. I get to get busy on organization, going from chaos to clarity. So I'm excited about just getting in motion once we get done here.
Well, I'm going to send you a before picture of my desk and an after picture.
Yes, all right. Accountability. Accountability partners. Yeah.
Right. Well, again, you're bringing that up, and if you feel guilty, raise your hand. And I'm sitting here, I'm going, why do I still have a coffee cup on my desk from 2 days ago?
Great.
But everyone, we really do hope that you are getting something out of our program. Remember, check out our podcast. It's in the link here, or just go online and you can Google the Power to Live Your Vision podcast, and all of our podcasts are up there. We're in week number 10. And so, again, as we're moving forward, we're planning that this is going to be a book. So you're going to be able to get the book coming up. In fact, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to take that next step and design the cover for the book. And, that's again, that's what manifesting is about. It's not about talking about it. That's what a vision board is about, get that book cover up and start working on, the power to live your vision. And you never know. I see this being presented at Nike, so why not?
Let's
why
go.
not be the best you can be?
Absolutely. I'm with you on that. More to come. Exciting things ahead.
Well, everyone, again, have a blessed week. And remember, from your favorite coaches here, we are here to support you. Again, we're coaches, mind coaches, success coaches. I am a minister, so, I'm a faith coach. So, let us know how we can support you. Our goal is to bring love and make the world a better place. And that's why
Absolutely.
we started doing this, that take a half an hour of our time and make the world a better place. So everyone,
Yes, sir.
tell your friends about it, share it, and hey, we're going to see you next week. Everyone, be blessed.